Okay, we are live. Thank you all for attending. Yeah, another teaching, darshan. This particular darshan is, there's a lot that I'm teaching. I haven't got all the time in the world. Yeah, this is we're on a kind of a get it done kind of scenario. And no one really knows what needs to get done because we're so caught up in all the things that go on. Yeah, the homelessness and the process of the pandemic and all the relationships with our president, previous president, and all the things that took place there. That's a very chaotic thing. Leaves us in a lot of weird thoughts, and wondering how things are going to turn out under these confusing processes. Yeah, but that's not really my problem. That's not really what it is that you're going to be dealing with. Yeah, what you're really going to be dealing with is the fact that the Arctic and Greenland and the Canadian ice shelves and all of that is going to break off in the next 5 years. Yeah, where that's extremely fast. Yeah, and just over the last 2 years, an enormous amount has broken off, and is the way it is. Yeah, and that has a big effect on us, really big. But we don't know what that is, but it's coming. It is happening. Yeah, and every time these icebergs, these pieces of continents, that are ice shelves that come off, that are left over from here. You imagine you have the Arctic and you have underneath it is really green ground, normal ground. Yeah, it used to be forest, but now it's full of ice, and it could be as much as 1 mile, 2 miles thick. And it is everything that we know about it. It's all covered up. We don't really know the exact size of it, because we've lied so much in history, mapping systems and things like that. We don't want to look at maps that go back as far as 1100, 600, 500, that existed, that showed these continents green and showed them fertile, and showed Egypt green and fertile, and the Sahara green and fertile. Yeah, so those realities are part of our cycle of change. They come because we have a planet that's on a wobble, and we don't take this into effect. We don't consider. We have a big wobble on our planet, not a little wobble, not just seasons, that come, but this is a big, big wobble, and the big, big wobble takes us on a tilt to where we're at a different axis, and what is the Sahara now, which is all dry and is what it is because of the way it's sitting in our planetary axis. And as the wobble changes, it becomes more climate related and not in the field of the desert, which is in the central portion of the planet. It's that area. So all this changes, and we don't have any consideration over such things. Any consideration, Imagine, here are these places that we now see as desert and constant ice. Therefore, it does not give oxygen to the system. And therefore, we have a debilitating oxygen rate. And if we do anything to it, like have fossil fuel and high carbon output and everything, and we create a greenhouse effect, and we create the ozone because we're having spray bottles and we're just doing our hair, and we have no idea that we're wiping out the ozone, and we do this, and we realize, and then we make it illegal to have those products anymore. And our process is that we slowly but surely find that these things heal. They heal. But the other side of this is that the process that goes on with this wobble, that goes on with these changes, are big, dramatic changes inside of humanity. Yeah, and they have positive and negative outcomes. Imagine when the Sahara becomes green, how much more oxygen do we get? You know, how much? Right now we're like, oh no, we're losing oxygen, we're burning up the Amazon, we're wiping away, more and more land, and, our opportunity toward oxygen is going down. But we're not thinking in terms of long term. How does this really work? What is really going on? How will it manifest? So, and we don't take in consideration the effects of what we've done in the past. Imagine all the oil wells. All the oil wells. If you look back, you can see pictures. If you look, you can see video of the 1920s of Pennsylvania, of the outskirts of New York and New Jersey, going into Ohio and Idaho, going through the Mississippi, going into Virginia, into Colorado. All this is oil wells, oil wells everywhere, tens of thousands, just in Pennsylvania, over 500,000 oil wells. And yet today you don't see any oil wells. Where are they? They're tapped. Do they care? No. Do they create pollution? Yes. Because there's a pipe sticking out of the ground that's directly aligned to gas and oil and other toxins that are the most toxic toxins we will ever come across. And we brought them out. And we closed them off. And now we have houses, apartments, buildings, sidewalks, streets laid right on top of these oil caps. All over, by the millions, all over the United States. And it's just now, just these last few years, that has come to mind. Because the oil is seeping up in people's living rooms. It's seeping up in through their apartment. It's seeping up through the street. We're seeing these sinkholes. And we're going, I wonder what the cause of that is. Oil wells. When we research it, we find out in that very same area, there used to be a lot of oil wells. And the process of those oil wells wiped away shell and other stabilizing structures inside underneath, and create empty cavities where there used to be oil, there used to be water. Now it's just empty cavities. As time goes on, because we did oil wells, we also created a 50% to 60% increase in earthquakes. The possibility of small earthquakes to large earthquakes, where there never is earthquakes. There's earthquakes because of oil wells, because we tapped in to the earth and we created this scenario that we don't have any idea about because we are not educated. It wasn't until the 1920s people learned to write. People learned to read. People learned to write their name. 1920s, and you needed to go to school. You needed to go past those 3-year required classes that you would go through as a child, and then you could go on, because there was no real control that these kids need to go to school. So many children were employed. Whether you're in Europe or America or in Africa or in China or Japan, anywhere, children were used as labor. So going to school wasn't exactly number one. And if anybody got sick in the family, the oldest kid took care of the family. So therefore, that kid didn't get to go to school, and they stayed behind, tried to help other kids. This is our history. This is our history, humanity's history. Not the upper middle class, not the upper class, but the 95% of the rest of us, That's our history, yeah. And on top of that, all these oil wells we're finding, all the oil wells that have been tapped, that are leaking, the government knows where they're at. And real estate agents know where they're at. And they sell to black people and Mexican people and poor people those locations where the wells are at. They build houses on top of it. They build apartments on top of it. They put schools right next to it. Well, go to Hollywood. Go to Beverly Hills. Go to a rich district in any part of the United States. You'll see that the zoning doesn't allow it. The housing doesn't allow it. Because this is zoned for rich people. Yeah. You don't put rich people on top of gas and oil and pollutants and things like that. Yeah. It's just a way that we look at things, yeah. The way that we had looked at things, and everything now, if you go back, you look, you could see it. You'll see where poverty sits, oil well sits. And they're still pumping. They're pumping right next to the schools. They're pumping right next to the parks. If you're poor, they're still there. Yeah. If you're rich, if you're really wealthy, if you go to Hollywood, you'll find that there's an oil well in Hollywood, but it has a building built around it. A whole building is built around it, enclosed top and bottom. So you neither can see it or be polluted by it. Yeah. But you just travel 50 miles away where poor people live. They have the same oil refining process going on, but it's open. And next to it is a school and apartments right alongside of it. Yeah, check this out.
Oil under your property is usually a good thing.
But finding it coming up through your floor, well, not so much. That's the problem in one Wheeling neighborhood where residents of an apartment building were forced out of their homes.
The DEP's Jake Lance joins us now with the latest.
Well, Kelly and Greg, it actually started when area residents noticed an oily sheen on the surface of Stackyard Run, which is a tributary of Wheeling Creek that leads to the Ohio River. But that was just the start of the problem.
Caution tape aside, from the outside it looks like an ordinary apartment building, but on the inside, well, come on in, take a look for yourself.
It's the same principle as any drilling operation, but it's smaller scale, just miniature rig. Very challenging.
So now he literally has to go in as though he's building a rig. Yeah, just like the oil rig that built it. You know, he's got to go in and build a little rig and tap it. Find out how far down does this leak take place and tap it, just like he's drilling. Yeah, and he's got to keep going and do it right, and it's got to be solid, and then he's got to seal it and put a pipe around it, and then tap it off. But the apartment's still going to be there. Yeah, trust me, it's still going to be there. Yeah, and I'll show you other places where entire communities are being ripped up in the middle of the street. You know, there's oil wells coming up, and they don't want to tell them. The fact is, where you find one oil well, there's over 100 nearby. Because look at the pictures. Look at the pictures of history. Yeah, you'll see thousands of oil wells right next to each other, all over the place. And if you look at the pictures of any Colorado, Denver, Idaho, you know, Pennsylvania, yeah, anywhere in California, LA, yeah, all of that. You know, all of our history was oil first and then people. Oil first, yeah? And then we put in communities and we put in other things and we put them not too far from the oil wells, but all the way up to 1950. They started the oil wells in the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, then they tapped them off. Now they're not these tall rigs anymore, yeah? They're these pumping things that look like those ducks, you know. But they're not. They're oil wells, and they're still pumping, yeah. And I could show you where in every oil well, every single place where there is this going on, I'll show you how it works. Okay, this is just a place where they really
Some of the first oil
expect
wells in
this.
Louisiana were drilled out here.
Ronnie Whitten has lived in Evangeline his entire life.
I've lived here all my life. I'm 69.
Whitten, like many people across the state, lives within a football field of abandoned oil and gas wells like this one.
We can't even get to it. Oh, this is an abandoned well right here. Oh, there it is right here. See it? It's a well that should have been plugged and abandoned. It hasn't been.
Statewide, almost 4,000 abandoned oil and gas wells are scattered throughout neighborhoods like this one, and Whitten is concerned they pose a threat to the environment.
Problem is that if they get a lot of water, the oil seeps up out of the ground. It started out right here, one of the leaks, and it ran towards the gully. And naturally, when it comes out, it's going to run into the gullies and the streams, and it's going to run on into the bayous. And
place. Construction in a new neighborhood is nothing unusual for Colorado, except this crew isn't building. They're trying to protect the homes already in place. Good evening, and thanks for watching Denver 7. I'm Andrew Heel.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. The people who live in that Broomfield community say they had no idea an abandoned well was right at the foot of their property.
And that is until the state revealed that well has been leaking gas and needs to be plugged now.
Denver 7's Russell Haythorne is hearing from residents who want to know how they're just finding out about this.
Even for Colorado drilling standards, this is unusual.
Who wants one of those in their neighborhood?
Let alone in the middle of their newly paved street.
The well is dead center under Grams Peak Way here.
In Broomfield's brand new Anthem Highlands neighborhood, tests recently revealed sky-high levels of gas in the soil along Grams Peak Way.
Towns popped up along Oil Creek. Prospectors and Civil War vets swarmed western Pennsylvania. In 1891, the state produced 31 million barrels of oil, more than half the nation's capacity. But the boom was followed by a bust. Drillers moved west, first to Ohio and West Virginia, then on to Texas, Oklahoma, California. Today, Pennsylvania has a legacy of abandoned wells. Some date back to the 1800s. No one knows for sure how many there are. Some estimates are as high as 500,000.
Yep. That's just in that location. 500,000. So we're talking nearly 1 billion throughout the United States. Yeah. And it's a very serious scenario. Very, 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 very serious scenario. Yeah. And how are we going to locate these things? Yeah. Is it possible? Yeah. Because of a lot of people die, companies go out of business, people who own the oil wells no longer live. You know, families who would maybe have it passed on are probably gone, have no idea the oil well's still there. Yeah. So who's responsible? And how would we find out? Yeah. Well, let me show you.
To make a long story short, what I got out of it was something like this. Now, I did a fairly messy job of this, and I didn't preserve the column headings here. There's some names, there's some codes about various kinds of wells. I don't know what those codes mean. I'd have to investigate that further. But here are some longitude and latitudes that are close to the one that I was interested in. If I take a pair of these numbers, longitude and latitude, I'm going to do a Control-C and copy them, and I'm going to go over to Google Earth. Well, it turns out with Google Earth, you can actually search it by longitude and latitude. And if you do that, this will take you right to the place where that location is. And isn't this interesting? Under this industrial building, right at that point, there used to be an oil well. Now, where is it now? Well, the pumping machinery has been removed, and it's been capped off in some way. I don't know what the technology was when they capped this thing off, but there's a big hole in the ground right here. It goes down perhaps hundreds, perhaps thousands of feet, and it used to be used to pull oil out of the ground. But let's go back and let's take a look at another one of these. How about this pair? And I'll just go down this list and take a look at these things, because I was very curious just where are these abandoned oil wells? What's on top of it now? Well, it turns out this one is under some other industrial thing, sort of off towards the area north of Long Beach, and this one looks like it might even be in a parking lot. Let's search for another one. This longitude and latitude has gotten me into an area that doesn't look industrial at all. In fact, the closer I get to it, this looks like some kind of a housing tract. And it looks like there's some sort of a structure here, maybe something that somebody's living in. So I'm going to take this little guy and I'm going to pull him down to the street view right in front. And let's let Google Earth show us what we're looking at here. Now, where is this place? And let's just turn all the way around here. Wait a minute. It looks like this is the place right here where that oil well used to be. I'm going to go down the street just a little bit so I can look back this way. And that map tag is pointing to that very location. Could it really be that there used to be an oil well under this house? Let's take a look at another one. Let's see. And now Google Earth is returning us to, looks like some sort of an industrial area. Looks like another interesting situation here. Now the map tag for that longitude and latitude seems to descend upon yet another house. Well, let's take the little man here again. Let's put him down to the street view. And the map tag seems to be going kind of between these two fairly new-looking properties. It turns out I didn't find any oil well under the piece of property I bought, but it's kind of an eye-opener that in areas like this that were heavily populated with oil wells in earlier days, that now a totally different use is being made of the land. I just thought it might make an interesting assignment for students in one of my computer science classes when we talk about geoprocessing to see how these things might be put together as tools like Google Earth.
Now this is just an analytical professor who's just messing around, and he goes on to the library of oil wells in his local area, and in it, in the county library, in the county records, it has a list and location, by latitude, longitude, the location of the exact oil well, every oil well in America. So we can find them, and we can locate the situation, and then we can break it down to community, to town, to taxes, as a process of awareness of this is where we're putting our taxes. This is where we need to do something about this, and we can't say, well, you can't sell this house, you can't do this. There has to be a cleanup, And then there has to be a decision whether or not this is really actually leaking, unsafe, how far from living conditions. And we slowly but surely, by actually unveiling something, which is going to be very costly, and because it's that, you know, many people are going to make this take forever. Yeah. Just, oh, I don't know if I want to sign that. I don't know if I want to go along with that. I'm never going to get elected again. You know. Yeah. But this is going to come out. This is going to be a part of our reality. People, communities, you know, are going to begin searching. Apps will appear. Where's the oil well in your local area? Do you have an oil well under your house? Free app, you know, free lawyer. Yeah. Yeah. And it's cleanup time. You know, we're going to go through this. We're going to do this. These are things that we can do. Yeah. And it has to do with things that are affecting us and are going to affect all our children. We're not going to have any children without mental, emotional instabilities, because bromine and all the different things that are in these oils, you know, in the process of creating, you know, the digging and the fracking and the cracking of the many different things you have to do to get down that low and open up those rocks so that you can get to that oil. Yeah. And all that comes seeping up into the air and into the water and into the drinking and into the ground, into the roots of what we're eating. Yeah. And that is where our problem lies. It's not farming, pesticides the problem, but that is the smallest percentage of what in the long term is really killing us. We have to do a cleanup. Yeah, we have to. We can't accept oil-filled ground. Yeah, we can't accept oil coming out of the ground. Yeah, we can't accept that. Yeah, so imagine this is one of the effects.
While still a pretty wild phenomenon, news reports of sinkholes spontaneously opening up to devour homes and create panic are not unheard of. That was not the case in 1980 when a couple of these massive geological freaks appeared near the tiny West Texas town of Wink. Even more curious than how they came to be was that they continued to grow, now wider than 2 football fields. Recently, a team of earth science professors from Southern Methodist University utilized a combination of satellite and radar imaging technology to not only identify the potential cause of the sinkholes, but provide a warning as to how bad things could get. According to Zong Lu and Jinwoo Kim, the 4,000 square miles surrounding these sinkholes are showing ground movement that includes sinking and lifting of as much as 40 inches over the past 30 months. The duo recently published their findings in scientific reports. The common trait shared throughout this region, which is often referred to as the West Texas Permian Basin, is a rich supply of oil. Scientists believe that decades of activity related to drilling for and recovering oil has made the region's geological structure, which is heavily comprised of water-soluble salt, limestone, and sandstone, unstable. In addition to drilling, the area has been exposed to a number of injection wells that utilize highly pressurized salt water or carbon dioxide to help extract oil. These processes, along with freshwater leaks from abandoned wells, are thought to be dissolving or weakening many of the underground rock formations. According to Lu and Kim, this combination of factors could create additional sinkholes. The region has also experienced 6 small earthquakes since hydraulic fracturing began in 2015.
Right here is it's an old gas well, and it's been shut in, but it's obviously leaking gas, and I think that's a big concern that people have now here in the Gulf Coast. I think we've sort of become more aware of since the BP disaster. There's over 400,000 abandoned oil and gas wells in the Gulf, and they're not maintained. They're made of steel, and they're just sitting out here. So there's this fear of, what happens if they start rusting out, or a hurricane or something dislodges a wellhead. That's natural gas bubbling out of some part of the well. It's actually below. That's the wellhead itself, where this little valve stack is bolted on. So it actually may be in the casing below.
Because when you shut off a well, there's no one who says, well, we have to maintain that, you have to make sure that that doesn't leak or anything. They're just shut off and forgotten.
Pretty much, yeah. I think they're supposed to make sure that they stay safe as they're, through time. But I don't think there's anyone that's actually inspecting the vast majority or making sure that that's happening.
That's a fact. Nowhere, yeah. So what's going to happen is that our advancements are the people's process of wanting to be healthy and wanting to eat grass-fed meat and take all the time and energy to heal themselves and do yoga and, try and get out and get a good fresh breath of air and stay away from bad things. All those things is our decision-making process. It's a choice of us. In democracy, it's a choice of our regular human rights, yeah? And we move in that direction, yeah? It's a big thing. It's like, whole foods and health food and organic and all that kind of stemmed from California, And it was a growing process. The hippie movement and the health food process and all of that stemmed, but it was a large mass, but it was a beginning of something, a beginning of people who wanted to purify and wanted to learn to love and wanted to have an open mind and wanted to use consciousness as a way to live their life, So that is our way. We are going to be that way, we're still many generations behind before we get to that point, But it is the way it's going to be. And we're going to be more and more aware of what it is that we shouldn't be doing. Masses of people do not smoke anymore. Masses of people. But yet everybody still smokes in movies. But nobody smokes in real life. What's going on? There is a consistent process to help move us to stay in the old way. So we'll have drama. So we think that we're going to go to war. So we have to be militant. We think that, everybody's a gang member when we step outside. So we have to put our tattoos on and be more manly, more aggressive than the already aggressive delusion that we have being presented to us. And it doesn't exist. It's a very rare reality. There is no real people out there shooting each other in that way as they are in movies. Every movie, every FBI agent is a spy. Every FBI agent is busy, capturing people and doing all the things. Every FBI agent is looking in files and reading and studying and investigating and, driving long ways and doing things to find things out. That's what they do. They investigate. The Federal Bureau of Investigation. So they're not, with a gun holster running around, jumping into buildings, taking people out. That's not what goes on. They try and find out information and get people busted by the law. That's how it works. It's true. It's much more mundane than you think. Much more. And it should be more. But we're under this illusion that if you're a cop, you've got to be, super duper 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 aggressive, because these people you're going to be dealing with are super duper 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 aggressive, and they have bigger guns than you do, and they have bigger violent attitudes than you do, so you have to not trust anybody. And it's all just being projected at you from TV, from movies, from an illusion, that doesn't really exist. 99% of the people out there are passive, lost, need help, just help, direction, slow down, don't go so fast, you can hurt someone. Okay, sorry, But there's a whole other process. We have this whole aggressive nature that is moved through us, and we don't know that this isn't the way the world works. And inside, our soul is going to fix everything. Yeah. So inside, we're interested in healing. We're interested in living longer, being happier, and look up things that are positive along that line. Yeah. Find those things, change ways that make you better. Yeah. Now, masses of people have done this. They've stopped smoking, and they're curbing drinking. And they even say, when you go into a bar, which according to every movie, everybody smokes in a bar. But if you go in a bar, it's illegal to smoke in a bar. Yeah. Even a casino, you can't smoke in a casino, in most casinos. Some, depends on the state, depends on the ridiculousness of the whole thing, the old ways that has to be maintained for some ridiculous reason. But the majority of humanity is choosing to change, yeah, and they're open-minded, yeah. It's the closed-minded that would never allow this to happen, and we really aren't closed-minded. We're open-minded, yeah. Hippies would have never manifested in our children if we weren't open-minded enough to not subject them to all the harassment it would have taken to stop them from growing their long hair, and having free love. And coming home with painted hippie cars, What kind of behavior is that? Yeah, you wash your car, you polish your car, you do not paint flowers on your car. It's disrespectful as a person, yeah? That's the way they spoke to us, yeah? But it isn't the way we were, because we were open-minded, and that's the way everybody is becoming. And it's that open-mindedness that if we witness it, we look at it without the drama, we look at it, we see people are doing the right thing to heal themselves and to govern the United States, to govern it, yeah? So we have a problem. We have a big problem with all these oil wells, yeah? But we're going to get a situation to where we're aware, oh my God, look at all this oil wells and fracking and everything that's going on. Now we have apps, and now we have situations where we ask for laws to be applied to real estate that you are told, not only was there a dead body in this house or a murder that happened in this house, but also fracking happened underneath this house, and toxic waste has been found in the basement, and any other thing that's relative to harming someone. Even psychic harm. A person was murdered in this house. That's why you tell them, so that they won't psychologically feel completely wiped out and feel like they cannot live in this house because somebody died in this house. You have to tell them. Yeah, it's the law. And we should raise up, into a place to where we make it a law to where the place you move into has no mercury, has no arsenic, has no oil leaked from the ground, has no toxic situations that's been put into your path because of bad behavior in the past of other people. And when that house is bought previously, or the land was not a house and it was an oil field, yeah, that's on record. Yeah. So at what point do we choose by law to not allow these records to be a part of our right to purchase something that is either harmful or unharmful? Yeah. So this is going to happen. We're going to start to become aware of this, and our congressmen, our senators, our House of Representatives is going to go, yes, we need to know this. In every state, we need to know this. But they're all going to go, let's not talk about it. But the news is going to go into it. Yeah, and more people are going to investigate it. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about it, and other people will talk about it. Yeah, because it really is one of the biggest things, and we could do something really quick about it. Once you know where they're located, you have the legal right to move out. Yeah, just like, what was that? Love Island, or what was that place? Love Canal. Yeah. Where it's completely toxic, wasted everybody. The whole town was gone, yeah? And now, you can move back in there, yeah? Because they won't, it's been so long that the legal system has said, well, I think it's that waste is not as bad, so we can put the park back. Yeah. And let's put a school over here. And it's all going back into existence. Yeah. So our laws are going to change according to our humanity, because we're basing everything by other people covering things up in order to allow real estate agents to sell us a bill of goods that are extremely unhealthy, extremely, really bad. Yeah. And there's no way, tax-wise, there's no way that we're going to get paid for this house that we bought. Yeah. There's a slow process of stepping back. When people choose, I'm neither going to buy this house nor am I going to rent this house. Yeah. And I'm going to choose to keep looking on the map for clean houses. Yeah. Because this is where it's going to go in the future. We're going to make choices whether or not our house has solar, whether or not our house has a battery system, is it off the grid? These are priorities in our life, you know. And you may, in the beginning, you may find it very hard to find these things, yeah. But 30 years from now, 20 years from now, you won't, yeah. Because your need to find them is going to make people make them in order to continue sales, in order to continue fulfilling people's needs, the service that we do, you know. So that service is an open-minded thing that keeps us being stuck in the economy of covering up, you know, the service of being able to provide, you know, anything in service. It automatically sponsors change, yeah. So we're going to go through, you know, this transition, but the biggest thing behind it is that we're going to learn how to heal. You know, we've got to go through this thing to where we want to heal ourselves, just like we want to stop smoking, or we want to do this, we want to do that. Well, we've stopped smoking, and now we're doing this and we're doing that. But now we're going to become aware of the fact that all of our cities and communities are polluted. Yeah, and it's an eye-opening scenario. As we become more aware of it, we become aware of the fact that these diseases, these illnesses that we have, not just headaches, but leukemia, cancer, kidney disease, heart disease, all these things are all attributed to these oil wells, to the oil wells. Yeah, and if you step away, you're living in a house, oil wells next door, and you have a headache every night, and then you die of cancer, and your children start having senility happening by the time they're 20, 25, 26, you know. All these things are happening, debilitating, you know, the immune system, the nervous system, the whole system of the people living in that house, and they can't get out of that house because they're poor. And the houses that they're building are for the poor, and they can't move. Yeah. Let me show you one more. I think I have one more. Mm-hmm. Well, oh. Yeah. What I'll show you is recently we've had a lot of the process of these glacier changes, yeah, and these things are like, we have the process of the past coming at us, which is the oil wells. Yeah, we have to deal with it. Then we have the process of the future coming at us, yeah, which is the loss of all of this, you know, ice that's breaking away. Yeah, and it goes into the ocean, and the ocean rises, yeah, and it changes, yeah, because every time the ice breaks away, there's different gases inside of it that is released, and that creates more of the greenhouse effect that makes it warmer. And you would think, no, that's not probably, but it is true. It is true. And for all these oil wells, every single one that's leaking, yeah, you can see them. Yeah, if they're in water, you see it coming out. You see the oil coming out of it and going into the water, creating that oily look. Yeah, and you could smell it. It's very strong. Every single one, you could smell it. You could see it. Every single one. And on an average, when when you can see it, and it's not really bad, it's not like really pouring out and bubbling really big, but it's just common coming out, that is an average of 1,400 to 1,500 cars driving full on 24 hours a day. The amount of pollution that comes out of 1,500 cars is what comes out of one of those oil wells. One. So we're like, running around, let's say, planet, let's stop the cars, let's do this and that. But we need to capture the cause. And I've been working on this since 1971. So it's been a long process, but I needed computers, I needed the ability for us to go from spreadsheet into data information into Google Map, and the ability to see every street and know every connection. All of this had to be evolved into where we're at today, and then we can get the new group of world servers who's going to look at it and go, well, I can do that. I'll just make a program. I'll just make an app. I'll just make it possible, and I'll make a fortune, and I'll be fine. This is great, And in service, this is what happens. We're providing, helping, things get moving. But first, we have to unveil. We have to unveil. And once we do the unveiling, makes it possible for us to begin preparing for the process of the future. Because when the ocean goes up 8 feet, and this is going to happen between now and the year 2035. Ocean up 8 feet. We're losing Florida, we're losing New York, we're losing Chicago, we're losing, a lot of California, a lot of Mexico, a lot of other countries, a lot of islands, a lot of places. That will go into a devastating scenario. And people will try and build walls, enclose their city, enclose their state with walls. They're trying to do that in New York. They're trying to do that in other places. But this isn't how it's going to work. We need to be aware of the fact that we're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and we need to see a real picture of what is going on and appropriately behave. So right now we're watching Greenland, fall into the ocean. Major portions of Greenland. Check this out.
Huge chunk of ice has broken away from the Arctic's largest remaining ice shelf in northeast Greenland. Scientists are calling this a great loss, further proving rapid climate change is taking place and is not slowing down. CBS News' Ian Lee reports on how the breakup of this Arctic glacier points to a greater global issue.
Before long, much of this could be gone. Scientists say polar glaciers are shrinking at an alarming rate. The latest section in Greenland, where a 44-square-mile chunk, twice the size of Manhattan, broke off from the largest remaining Arctic ice shelf.
A NASA satellite captured this picture of the 1 trillion ton iceberg. It broke off the Larsen C ice shelf and is one of the biggest icebergs ever recorded. The ice shelf is in the southernmost part of the world on the western side.
The other one was in Greenland.
This crack in the Larsen C ice shelf had grown to more than 120 miles before it broke off this week, producing one of the largest icebergs ever recorded. Its size is staggering, more than 2,200 square miles, twice the volume of Lake Erie. This collapse on the western peninsula of Antarctica follows the collapse of 2 other ice shelves, Larsen A and Larsen B, which broke off around the turn of the century.
It was sort of unprecedented because it hadn't happened in 10,000 years. I'd call that pretty unprecedented.
Yeah, I do.
Canada's last fully intact ice shelf has also become a casualty of climate change. The Milne ice shelf is about as far north as you can get. It collapsed into the sea last week, losing nearly half of its total area. As Heather Urix West explains, researchers say its demise should be a wake-up call.
It's a beautiful but remote part of Canada's Arctic that an Ottawa research team has been studying closely for years. This year's trip was cancelled because of the pandemic, and there won't be another chance to go back.
The iceberg, officially named D28, covers an area of 632 square miles, is extremely thick, and weighs a whopping 315 billion tons. It's the first major calving event on the Amery ice since the 1960s.
So things are happening really, really fast, yeah. And yet we're in a drama movie, you know, and we're all so busy, you know, watching the drama, you know, and just, you know, everything just passes by, yeah. And we're not aware of the fact that this is happening. We're not aware of the fact that oil wells are everywhere, and that even in the news, the things that I'm showing you, these are things in the news, yeah, where people are going, yeah, you know, there's a lot of oil coming up in my living room. Our streets are pumping oil, you know. Oil is coming out of reserves by tens of thousands of oil wells are just dripping all over the place in Pennsylvania, and we don't know how to control it, yeah. All this is on the news in all areas, yeah. So over the last 3 to 4 years, this has become more and more aware, yeah. And nothing's getting done about it, yeah. And the only thing we can actually do is become aware of it and get ourselves out of the situation, yeah. And that is a real difficult process for letting go, our ability to let go, our ability to, or we're going to sit there and fight, you know, and say, well, I own this house, you know, and I didn't buy it with an oil well underneath it, you know, and I can't afford to leave and all this stuff. You know, at what point do we stop? And do we incorporate a process of cleanup, a process of letting go? You know, yeah, this place is too unsafe to live in. Yeah, and we've got icebergs flowing, and things are going to start changing dramatically. You know, in weather. Look at the weather this year. It's beyond dramatic. Yeah. I mean, look at Texas. How many times did they normally get snow? They certainly weren't prepared for it. That's what I'm trying to talk about. Is that we're not prepared. We're too busy in this melodramatic Trump illusion that gets us nowhere. Anger, hostility, fear, anxiety gets you nowhere. And if you're going to watch TV and watch shoot 'em up, and watch football and baseball and get all anxious, you lost, you win, you know, you're just going to live an anxious life, and you're not going to notice any of this. And it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. And you're going to be sitting on top of oil wells as the water rises and everybody's freaking out, and land is like, you know, what are we going to do? You know, because it's 150 degrees in Death Valley. You know, and Texas is now at a freezing level. We're not prepared for this. We have no insulation in our homes. You know, what's it going to start snowing in Hawaii? Yeah, you never know. You never know. It does snow in Maui. It does snow on the Big Island. You know, it snows in Haleakala. So it's available. Weather is something that you're not aware of. Yeah, how dramatically it could be. Yeah, and if you're not prepared, you know, for the changes that are coming, yeah, the process that is at a wake of coming at us, you know, if we're not prepared for this, you know, then we're going to have a real difficult process. Very, very difficult. Yeah. So my thing is to help people with their process of healing their soul and healing their emotional body, their mental body, give clarity to certain teaching, you know, and help people make decisions that would help them, you know, down the way, you know. But we need to help people become aware of this process of the oil wells, become aware of this process of what's going on in the Arctic, and how weather changes are real, and they're not just about climate change. It's not just about a greenhouse effect. It's about change, and we have to prepare for change. So why we have solar in our life, why we have tiny houses in our life, why we have all these videos and YouTubes about people learning how to make their own RV or do their own plumbing or make their own off-grid solar system, so that they can live in the mountains on their own and live a long time. All these things, these teaching things that are teaching people how to garden, how to take care of chickens, how to do these things. These are here for your survival. When all this shit comes down, all this is going to be your way out. Teaching tools that people have prepared for this event. And it's not we've got to hunker in because the militia, or we have to hunker in because of devastating earth changes. It's not so much about devastating earth changes because they're going to happen slowly. But we have to prepare to make sure that we clean everything up. Clean up everything as much as we can. And lower, through minimalism, lower our financial debt. Making sure that we can make these changes, we can go off and do these things, we can become entrepreneurs, we can begin our own business, we can do the things in service that provides us, the economy that we need in the future. That all these things are available if we minimalize. But if you're thinking you got to have $120 an hour so that you can have that really fine house and that really, really super expensive car, that's not minimalizing. And reality will tell you, if you let that go, if you let it go, there's another reality there. And if you take that reality and move toward that reality, then we'll be prepared. We'll be much more settled in. Our children will be more settled in. When our kids want to know what we're going to do, are we going to go to college, or should we go on to this, do all this stuff? Everybody needs to get wiser about what it is we really need to do. Kids need to be developing skills toward entrepreneurship, not working in a big corporation or as an engineer for Tesla. But something that they could do in their own skills and manifest that as an entrepreneur and be of service to their community. Because it's those answers that will bring everybody into a planetary healing that allows all of us to better understand our community, to better understand health, provide health, build good dharma. The qualities behind dharma. And dharma is a skill that comes in from the Holy Spirit. It's provided. So we have a great big plan that God has illustrated for us throughout time. Creating solar, creating all these things that are there, and they're all going to come into effect to save us from this great big dramatic movie. That we're all caught up in. Thinking shooting and killing and NRA and all this stuff is reality. Superheroes are going to come, and children are going to turn into levitating little beasts, and everybody's going to turn into a witch or a warlock, and we're all going to take on LGBT qualifications, and all this bullshit that's so dramatic. It's so wrong. None of it is true. And it's a waste of our time. Our time should be moved toward the truth, what it is we really need to do, what it is we can do. And those options are there for us. They're out there. But we have to regulate what it is we're attacking. Get away from that. If you watch or concern yourself about the gay movement and LGBT, it just draws you into it. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just step away. Don't get involved. Don't try and do anything about it. Just let it go. Yeah? And move on to other things that are of interest, because your mind can only hold so much interest. And bring your mind to things of your interest, not what they're trying to make you interested in. Because you'll go, oh, so what is that about anyway? Don't do that. Don't do that. That's all that bullshit's about. What is that about anyway? What are the Kardashians about anyway? You know? What is that Keanu West saying about, you know, the 666 and the vaccine and all that? What's all that about anyway? Boy, talk about drama. I mean, there's more people writing the scripts of drama in every area you can look if your mind will go there. And they're out there tempting you, you know, to click on this, read this. Are you interested to know why this person's uglier than they used to be? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you, right away. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's amazing. And then they never take you there. Yeah. Yeah, it's all con game. Wasting your time. Putting things in your mind that don't exist. Because when you get there, you find out what they said didn't exist. Even the lead picture never showed up. Isn't that a weird one? That's really a weird one, yeah. You know, check all this stuff out and let it go. You know, don't pay any attention. Watch out what you watch on TV, because trust me, it's getting worse. Worse, a million times worse. Movies, TV channels, you know, music, yeah. It's hyped up into complete glamour, yeah. Even the process of listening to music today, it's written by just 4 or 5 different people, writers, you know, and they're all manipulating it technologically, so there really is no singers. There really is no one who can carry a note, who knows how to sing, you know. And you have to go down to an extremely small number of people who are in that field that actually are in the field. They actually play beautiful music. They sing wonderfully, and they work with other people, you know, with drummers and with, you know, that all know how to play drums, really know how to play drums, yeah? Not just bam, 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 or wee, you know, but really know how to play guitar, yeah? It's those qualities of mastery and skill, you know, that we're interested in when we go to music. Yeah, but, you know, because they put it out, you know, it affects us. You have no idea where, you know, why you might be interested in rap, why you might go this way. But it's there in order to catch you like a hook. Yeah, and you could spend 10 years wasting your life in that cycle, and you could be moved to go into putting tattoos on, and you could be moved into wearing weird clothing and makeup and hairdo and all kinds of things. Trust me, just look back in our history. Every 10 years, we're possessed by another evil spirit. Yeah. And they're all in the minds of the creators out there in publication and advertisement and creative minds. The artists, the musicians, people who think that they're creating the clothing industry of the new designs of the time. Yeah. And it brings a fad into people's life, and people follow that fad. Yeah. That's nothing. We should not be doing that sort of thing. We should have no effect in that area. Yeah. So that's where our purities will come in. Yeah. Is that we'll come into more and more and more purity, more and more consciousness, more and more understanding. And out of that, you know, we're going to get apps. The new group of world servers is going to continue giving us electric cars and all these things that no one in the Dark Lodge wants to give us. Nobody in the Dark Lodge wants to give us that stuff. But it's coming by leaps and bounds. Yeah? Inexpensive, gets cheaper. Yeah? Your future electric cars won't cost more than $15,000. Yeah? And there will be water-filled batteries. Water-filled batteries. Yeah? Not normal, but they're water-filled batteries. They last 2,000 miles. And you just stop off and they take that battery out and put a new battery in, takes only 10 minutes, and you drive away. Yeah, they're already designed. It's a company I'm very into. It's a Native American company. Yeah. Yeah, so those are things that are coming by the new group of world servers, and we're not planning this shit. We're not planning it. It's the offering from God. It's the Holy Spirit, yeah? And it's going to help us fix everything because we need minimalism, not drama. We need peace, not war, yeah? We need love, not hate. When you receive this stuff, when you get this stuff, when you step into your first Tesla, or you enter into having a solar house, you know, and it's always cool, and it's always warm, and it's always just right, and I never pay an electric bill. Oh my God, I can't believe you will believe in God. You will believe in God, yeah? And you will want to be more pure, yeah? Just like stepping in, riding in a Prius for the first time, it changes your consciousness. You want to be more pure. You feel that you're a better person than you were before you bought that car. Now you're one of the good ones, you know? Yeah, no question about it. You're actually doing it. Yeah, and it does fit that way. That's called dharma. That's dharma. Dharma is destiny. Yeah, we have a destiny. I'm telling you all this stuff because all of that is not our destiny. Yeah. The making of the oil wells, the keeping of the oil wells, the lying about the oil wells, the placement of the oil wells, the putting real estate on top of the oil wells and not telling anybody about it. That's not destiny. That's manifest destiny, based on glamours and illusions and delusions. And we have to uncover these things. We have to. Yeah? We have to uncover the wrongness in food, the wrongness in packaging, the wrongness. We have to, yeah? And it's not about a drama. It's about harmony through conflict. If you uncover the cause, which is something that is causing you harm, yeah? If you uncover that, and then you go, don't need it, can fix it. Now we know what it is. The consciousness in everybody goes to a place to where, well, I can't let my grandmother get near this, my children get near this, I don't want to live near this. It doesn't matter if a person's poor or rich. You know, all those things we're going to pass through. All those things that do matter to us now but can't matter to us later. We have to have love to bring peace. Yeah? So when we heal this planet, you know, which is what we're going to do, because I'm going to illustrate it to you. There's nothing you're not going to be hidden from anything. Yeah? You're going to find out that there's these oil wells. Yeah, you're going to have to fix those. Then you're going to find out that there are other things too, yeah, that you're going to have to deal with. Yeah? Just like your diet. Yeah? Just like, oh, I would never fast. Well, guess what? Yeah? You know, all these things you would never consider this is what you'd be doing. These are all things in the law of heaven that you do naturally, yeah, and you're going to benefit from it, yeah, and it's going to create purification, and you are going to be the caretakers of this earth, and you're going to heal this earth, and you're going to pay off the karma of the past by turning the wheel of dharma in the present. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, yeah, it's all right choice. Okay, let's pray. Yay. We're waiting just a minute. My little buddy Lanier had to go potty. I don't think he wanted me to say that. I shouldn't probably have said that. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, hi to all you people out there that are there. You know, oh, there goes. Oh, Nick has to go potty too. Yeah, that's cool. I wish I had a camera. then a follow through camera down the stairs and into the bathroom. Hi, what are you doing? Anyway, I gotta pass time. But I just found out yesterday how to see all the people that are watching. Yeah, their names and their emails come up on a list that I finally saw. Yeah, which is kind of cool. Yeah, because that means I get to email these people and say hi, or while I'm online, I could say hi. You know, like that. You know, so chances are they'll be there because I noticed that they were there previous. So anyway, they're still in the bathroom. Oh, Nick is fast. Just needed water, sorry. Gotta take that back. He's getting ready to go to the bathroom. And watch the kids. Okay, we are back. Okay, just relax. Okay, repeat after me. Lord Jesus the Christ, thank you for bringing me here. Lord Jesus the Christ, I open my heart to you today. I invite you to come inside. Lord Jesus the Christ, come and save my life. Receive me today as a child of God. Forgive all my sins and write my name in the book of life. I give myself to you, my spirit, my soul, my body. Receive me, Jesus the Christ. Now, the devil, the blood of Jesus the Christ is against you. I command you now to leave me. I do not belong to you. I am God's property. I disassociate myself from you. I renounce every evil covenant I have entered in with you. In the name of Jesus the Christ, I receive salvation. I am a child of God. Amen. messenger of light. I am a pilgrim on the way of love. I do not walk alone, but I know myself as one with all great souls, and one with them in service. Their strength is mine. This strength I claim. My strength is theirs, and this I freely give. A soul, I walk on earth. I represent the One. The past has gone. I am that past. It makes me what I am. The future comes. I also am the coming destiny, and therefore I am that. The present flows from out the past. The future colors that which is. I make the future also by my present knowledge of the past and the beauty of the present. And therefore I am that I am. Within the circle of the will of God I stand. Without the radius of the world of glamour, I take my place. And there I stand. Before the open door that just reveals a different lighted way, I take my stand. Before the presence, I will take my place, and there will firmly stand. And stand I see. Love is the incentive of our aspiration on the path. Love is the substance of our living in the world. Love is the light and the light of freedom from all creatures. Love pulses through the universe in a divine rhythm. Love is the consciousness of God. May the holy ones whose disciple I am show me the light I seek. May all mankind, may all humanity of all knowledge, may all light on earth make manifest the soul in all things, all life. I invoke the radiant golden sun to manifest the thread of the soul into the kingdoms of the elementals, into the kingdoms of the vegetables, the animals, into the astral plane. I invoke all humanity to become the caretakers of the kingdom of God. I invoke the will of God as the soul. I stand before the judgment seat of my soul. I am that soul. All love and light am I. I serve the world and lose myself in service. This is my life, and this is the way that I will tread until the day be with us all. Forth points of energy within themselves, inaugurating certain new techniques in work and in modes of communication. I invoke the group of telepathic communicators. I invoke the group of trained observers. I invoke the group of magnetic healers. I invoke the group of the educators of this new age. I invoke the group of political organizers. I invoke the group of the workers in the field of religion. I invoke the group of scientific servers. I invoke the group of psychologists. I invoke the group of financiers and economists. I invoke all creative workers as the new group. I invoke the externalization of the inner existence Okay, just relax. Okay, you can open your eyes. So looking at this, it looks like we might have lost internet for about a half hour. So we're going to show this again at the end of the meditation, and we could just run it one more time. Anybody who wants to watch it, missed any part of the first part of it, they can watch that and enjoy, or watch the whole thing. Yeah. So thank you all very much.